how about you, Gordon? Does Blue Horseshoe still love Anaconda's tail?
You know it.
All right, guys. Welcome. Let's dig into it. First of all, if this market can get above 4,435, urge you to put an alert there. I would be very cautious of shorts or speedos, because then it can really get going. Another level obviously is 4,450. Above that, it's gonna go for that gap. All right. So that's what we're dealing with. SPX broke out and closed above this trend line. Now, it is at a lot of resistance here, but the setup is pretty good. So we will see. Obviously, we got that Moody's news, which wasn't news. It was, they're thinking about. So whatever. Keep an eye on this. SPY, different type of setup altogether. SPY, on the other hand, is very close to its trend line. Not quite there yet. But getting close, depending upon if you want to measure that point or that point. We can have a look here. If you want to measure by that point, it's very close. The other one, a little bit. Got a gap up there. On Monday, it's pretty straightforward for me. I am going to see if this Friday rally continues. Would almost need a gap up for it. But I'm probably gonna wait till China opens, do nothing, and see if we can get that European bump on futures, catch a trade there, since Europe closed and we were down here. All right, so we've put in this whole move. So let's see if China, Europe could give some action on futures. And then I will literally see if SPX can hold this trend line, or if SPY goes for its trend line. So that's what I'll be looking at. There's a lower target, and we'll get to that. If we maintain over Friday's high on a gap up, that's a huge victory for bulls. But if we fail here, I think this is going to be the destination. How fast do I think this is going to print on Monday? No, I don't. Because when this came in, we were $2 lower. But this could easily also now be the CPI play, where we pull back on a CPI, fill this gap. We still have a gap here on SPY, and then go. Got a lot of bullish flow going into QQQ. End of day, selling a little bit of dark pool, front running that news. Same on SPY, they sold the dark pool, but maintained price by throwing a lot of flow at it. We'll see. Maybe we'll get some other news that hasn't dropped yet for that to print. Now, let's see here. Bitcoin not doing a lot over the weekend, but this is very interesting here. Remember, last week I kept saying that it could, worst case scenario is it pulls the inverted head and shoulders, doing that right now, but that the 9 would come down. Now we're testing this daily 9 on 10 years, so keep an eye on that. If we go above here, the market sells and we're gonna go to the trend line and the 21. If it rejects, the stock market is gonna go up and we're gonna go to those levels I showed at the beginning of the video. Dixie at a very, very interesting spot here, kind of decision time tandem with the 10-year. The expiration coming up this week, obviously got absolutely crushed there end of week off of the 89, had that bump up and then poof. And again, if it doesn't bounce here, it's gonna go to the levels I mentioned before. Obviously we called the 1970, then we're focusing in on this 1554. If it doesn't bounce here, it is going to 12s. So keep that in mind. That is still a possibility. Not saying that it will do so. It's more likely to bounce here with the market being where the market is, but something to note. KRE also could not get over its highs on Friday. Some stocks like Coinbase, for instance, financials did not pull that move. Now, again, I mentioned on the live voice, which again, I suggest when you trade, jump on there, listen so that you can get a feel for the market when Doug and I are on. This is Bank of Japan. The only time we've gone above this trend line there. Rejected it 3 times. This is the first time we closed green over it. All right. Could they front run this whole center move and not provide a dick? Sure. Do I think they're going to do that? No, not yet, until I see evidence of it. And at that point, if we actually do go above and we start closing above here, this trend line becomes your dip buy. Pretty much straightforward. We had a little bit of puts come in, me included, but very, very light. This market is very strong on the juice. Still outnumbered hard by those. But it's not every area. It's mainly tech. I mean, look at IWM here. You know, it's a completely different chart to SPX, for instance. Okay, completely different. But anyways, zoom out a little bit. Can we still be doing the inverted head and shoulders now that we've filled the gap? Yes, but we need a swift rejection. Then it becomes a question of, do we actually, is it going to be a swift dip down here? Because we put in some, this is still a huge level. There's a lot of positions being bought here, and this was the low. That was the low. All right. We even went a little bit under what I thought would be the low. I kept saying I didn't think we'd trade under here. This year we traded a little bit, not a lot, so pretty good. Still, this is a really nice MACD. Basically what they did, we had the rally, and then we said that we would chop all week, which we did, and we held very nicely. That we had that bond auction over there, of course, but they brought down the MACD, and it's ready to go again, mind you. So me going into this week, we got plenty of events. This MACD, NAMO bounce, pretty awesome. And I had referenced that it could possibly do it because the setup it was doing was we were still under on this. We haven't gone over. So it's kind of looking at that type of situation over there. I still think that the market has, put in plenty of green days here, so should be a little bit cautious of blindly longing. And one thing that I wanted to bring to your attention, you got all these seasonality charts, right? You got pre-election, all this good stuff. Could this be it? Yes. But out of all of these, and here's the VIX, we're right here. We could be looking at, I'm still favoring a pretty large dip here. Just going over all of this stuff. And this one has a dip right there. We're not quite there yet. But I wanted to bring to your attention that there's going to be a rotation. Has to be a rotation. So this is QQQ right here. Just has freaking straight up in November, right? But it's not as strong in December. Why is that? Well, I think that they cannot afford to let crude oil be where it's at, and that the S&P 500 is going to be the ticket as opposed to QQQ end of year, because QQQ has been so much stronger. But if you look at crude oil, they need it higher. And are they going to use war? Well, they need to clearly escalate that war if they're going to push it up. But at some point, demand is so down, that's why it's here. They want it higher, so they're going to have to use something else to get it higher, pretty much. Okay? Now, our sports calendar, I think this whole sell here was consolidated in that one move on Thursday, and then we bounced, and we bounced a little too much, so it could have front run, but it's, you know, again, it can be off by 2 to 3 days, so that could have been the move. It shows a sharp move down. That could be also only the move down to 434 on SPY. And the reason I say that is it's going to take a lot to just crack this trend line again. Is it doable? Yeah. But if you're looking at this wedge we have here, I would almost, you know, something down to here. There's a big liquidity levels right there. Could some bad shit happen and we go and fill this gap? Yeah, but again, I don't think that we're gonna see sub FOMC prices here into FOMC minutes. That does not mean that we can't sell a lot and there's a lot of monies to be made on puts, but going underneath this seems a little bit too far. And again, if we go over this line here, I think we're already in full melt up mode, and that gap up here is the next target, and possibly beyond. I mean, it completely depends. You have a situation where if you squint and use your mind here a little bit, if we don't sell, and I still think we do, these are big buys, huge buys, no joke down there, but I still favor something like this, maybe going down to this trend line, maybe 430 on SPY, something like that into the end of the month. That they can do, but the market just looks super strong on the juice as of right now. Now, next week, there's a lot going on, not only with the resolutions and all that stuff. Monday, I'm just gonna play the charts and see what where the liquidity is going and what type of rotation they're playing, and I'll do that again using where is it? Using my dark pool stuff. But Monday, not a lot of exciting US data, more so the reaction to Moody's news. Tuesday, big days. I'm going to position myself end of day, looking at flow and dark pool for CPI. It can be a nothing burger, or it can have a huge move, and it can have an initial move with a counter reaction. Won't know until we see and again react. Okay? But as of right now, and this is the 15-minute, it is still going up on SPY, but some unwinding of QQQ, which would corroborate seasonality, rotation, strength. On the 50-minute, they're buying LMT again. Coinbase, definitely loading, so maybe financials and oil will be popping here into the end of the year. That Apple Dark Pool 50-minute chart I've yapped about for forever indeed showcased the whole rally, so really good thing to keep an eye on. All right, looks like some unwinding, deep buying and pushing with flow there, very hard. But as you can see on the 1 minute, you know, that move on Friday was flow. Anyway, back to the calendar. So we got CPI, then we got Asian data. after hours, and plenty of it. And we got European data. Wednesday we have PPI, and we got oil numbers. That's going to move the market. Then we got more Japanese data, and at any point this week, know that Bank of Japan can say something funky and market can absolutely drill. So you run the risk of that. If you missed these insane plays we've had the last few weeks, not the time to maybe blindly flip bull. And again, on Friday, I took my first small, very small puts in 2 weeks. So we got jobs Thursday, Philly numbers, and then Friday we have European inflation numbers and building permits and all that good stuff. The week after that, because I think it's important to look at, we have those FOMC minutes that Powell already addressed, that will see the numbers, but they have not put in the word recession in them. And he made in the whole Fed circus with supposed climate change protesters that can get past the tightest security in the world somehow, he made a point to say that, coupled with his new look. But you got the Red Book coming out there the week after that, and FOMC minutes, I believe, come out on the 22nd, which matches our low on the Sports Almanac if it is to track. Okay, now one other thing I want to bring to your attention this week is we have OPEX on Friday. Now last OPEX, you remember we were kind of chopping green Monday, Tuesday, and then we sold a lot right there. And just to remind you, here October, Monday, Tuesday, still looking good. Absolute freaking death that week. We can pull a move like that. We can, down to here. I don't think that we're gonna go that low this time, but I'm just saying, look for a sell this week. It's definitely in the cards. OPEX can be very unpredictable. It can be chop. We can go up, we can go down. It all depends on what the market makers are gonna do, and we will play accordingly. We've been playing meta. Obviously, Friday's move was absolutely insane. Look at that daily candle. If it can break above that level, it is gone. Now, I haven't said that for a while, but once these stocks break above certain levels, there's no resistance. So Amazon, same type of situation. Above that September high, gone. We'll be looking at Target. Has earnings this week, has been absolutely beat to shit. Even after it had this whole consolidation zone here, that sold too. So again, it's on discount here big time. It's back at levels you haven't seen since you know what. Now LRCX, this was the most awesome trade all week in my opinion, but could have been even more life-changing. You had contracts that opened at 4 cents that ran to 3.55. And, I keep saying, watch the premiums, watch the premiums, watch the premiums. The reason I do that is because if the price can get to a certain level on a certain day, for instance, and those premiums are mispriced, there's a reason for it. And that they can give a hint, they can either be at discount, or for instance, as Nvidia, I mentioned that on Thursday after we sold, I was like, man, those 485s and 480s are very juiced. And you saw what happened. It just freaking... and that was when we were down here. And it pulled a freaking move and a half. Chips. So again, we know that it's going to go up to here. And that's another thing with the whole, well, let's buy puts now. Look, you've seen how the market's melted up. We know that NVIDIA is going to go to 500. NVIDIA is the big dog. Okay? Got to also follow that. And I mean, chips are on fire. And you take a stock like LRCX, it broke out. It broke out on Friday. Same deal with Apple. It's broken out of this trend. So tech is like hyper strong. Okay. Now I jumped on some SoFi down here. Glad I did it. Maybe it was down there. In case we get a move on it, because I read some stuff on it. First time in a while back to play MongoDB. And that paid. And again, same thing we're kind of looking at. I did point out that that first week of the rally, it didn't do much. And it is a Wall Street darling. Darling. So let's see. Closed above. Can go absolutely apeshit. Keep an eye on that. And no, of course, again, premiums. That's what we trade. I don't trade stocks. I'm not here trading other stuff, you know, futures, yes, but I trade options. And with that said, on Friday, keep in mind they juiced next week's contracts so freaking hard for next week to the point where no one wants to buy them. So at some point they're gonna give them a big haircut next week. Either it's CPI or just regular Wednesday chop. Wednesdays when they do it. Okay, this week it was Thursday. Coinbase did not have that move on Friday. Still think it goes up there, but we'll see. Now Tesla, pretty confident that this is going to 300 by because this can also run on its own. It's just a matter of time until it does a move like this. And obviously they got the Cybertruck coming out. So can it go down to 209 again? Sure. Can it go down to freaking 195? Sure. If the market really wants to tank here. And fine if it does, because then there's only one end of year play, and that's Tesla, as far as I'm concerned. QQQ cup and handle very much alive, especially after this breakout. See? Here's that same line across the board on some stocks that I've shown you. This here, MongoDB, LRCX. I mean, NVIDIA absolutely smoked its own. But let's just put it in there for reference. There you go. So, especially on tech stocks, you can do that. Now, SPY still has not broken through its... So it is, again, as I keep saying, it's lagging this move because this move is so tech heavy. Okay, now I said it. Amazon, absolutely crazy. Same thing, but different pattern. Okay? So I'll be playing the same stocks unless we have something crazy. I'll keep an eye on the shitty stocks like UPST and stuff like that if it moves in SoFi, looking at Target. But again, until that put wall comes in, that's far greater than this. That's literally up to the like 50s and 60s. As long as the convergence is green, this market is not going to sell. It's not. Keep an eye on this again, because that obviously showed the move. And absolute insane cheap day. Alright guys, that's it for right now. I'll see you on the train on Monday. Well, I'll be on there Sunday night my time for some futures, but you know what I mean. Alright, God bless, have a good one.